Cardinal Blase Cupich from Chicago has decided to give an award to Senator Dick Durbin that has caused a lot of pushback from bishops, actually.
I say bravo for those bishops. They are good men, and they are doing their duty of fraternal correction. The dialogue should have happened a long time ago to tell the senator, as a Catholic, you're not allowed to promote abortion. But the senator, of course, is a big promoter of legalized abortion, and therefore he's disqualified from being honored with an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award. Well, the first thought is I wish popes would stop giving interviews to journalists because this is not the way to communicate the apostolic office's, message to the world. And secondly, I was upset that Pope Leo gives the impression that Catholic doctrine could change in the future if attitudes changed. And that was on the matter of, homosexual activity in the life of the church, what that means morally.
By the way, my name is Joe McClane. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. Recently, Cardinal Blase Cupich from Chicago has decided to give an award to Senator Dick Durbin that has caused a lot of pushback from bishops, actually. This is something we don't see all that often. Bishop Paprocki, Bishop Ricken, Bishop Connolly, Corleone, Wall, and others have all come out against it and issued a fraternal correction. Here to talk about that with us is Father Gerald Murray. Father, welcome. Good morning. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. What say you?
I say bravo for those bishops. They are good men, and they are doing their duty of fraternal correction. And it's done in public, of course, because the offense is public. This is not something that was, being discussed before it was announced, giving this award. So Cardinal Cupich announces the award, and he's criticized for it, and then he defends his decision. And he defended his decision in basically saying, well, this is a way that we're in dialogue with the senator. I reject that characterization. The dialogue should have happened a long time ago to tell the senator, as a Catholic, you're not allowed to promote abortion. But the senator, of course, is a big promoter of legalized abortion, and therefore he's disqualified from being honored with an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award. What about the lifetime of those children that he is responsible for as a political figure for the continued legalization of abortion? So no, this is a very, very serious problem that the Cardinal has created for the Church in the United States, and I'm glad that there is a group of bishops, and I hope it grows, who tell him you must change this because it is scandalous. And remember what scandal means. Scandal just doesn't mean, people get upset. It means scandal leads people to conclude that committing sin is okay. So doesn't Senator Durbin get the impression that the Catholic Church is okay with pro-abortion politicians if they're being given awards? And let's also remember that in his diocese of Springfield, where the senator has his primary residence, he's not allowed to receive communion because
Right.
Bishop Paprocki has correctly applied Canon 915, and that Senator Durbin is manifestly obstinate in a grave sin, publicly supporting the killing of unborn children. So this is a good moment for the Catholic Church in the United States to say we cannot serve as a patsy or as some kind of support for a political party that promotes the killing of unborn children, because on other matters, the bishop in question, Cardinal Cupich, thinks that the Democratic agenda is good.
Surely Cardinal Cupich would be aware that Durbin was forbidden from going to communion in his home diocese. I have to believe he had to have known that there was a lot of controversy surrounding this character, this person, and his background, and he chose to do it anyway. Am I wrong in that assumption? It just seems like it would be weird to think that a cardinal of such a major diocese in America would be unaware of those aspects to this decision.
I think it's a reasonable assumption that he knew that Bishop Paprocki had placed, issued a decree stating that Senator Durbin under Canon 915 is not qualified to be administered Holy Communion in his diocese. And why that shouldn't apply in the Archdiocese of Chicago, I don't know.
So Cupich, in his response to this, has, according to a CNA article, I'm going to link to it in the show notes. Of course, everything's linked in the show notes. It says, this is Cupich speaking, quote, "I have remained faithful to the May 2021 instructions of the then Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, advising bishops to reach out to and engage in dialogue with Catholic politicians within their jurisdictions as a means of understanding the nature of their positions and their comprehension of Catholic teaching." He goes on, "At the heart of the consistent ethic of life is the recognition that Catholic teaching on life and dignity cannot be reduced to a single issue, even an issue as important as abortion," close quote. Cupich continued. So two things here. One, he says he's reaching out, but shouldn't that just mean you have a meeting with him? You take him to lunch, you take him to dinner, you sit down, you talk to him about, hey, why are you supporting abortion? It's evil, don't you know? There's that. But then it seems to me that we're talking about the seamless garment issue. Like, this is continuing to be a problem amongst the church, like as though all issues are somehow equal rather than some are more worse than others. What say you, Father Murray?
Yes, well, a couple of things. Of course, the Cardinal is not citing in complete accuracy what the policy of the United States bishops or of the Archdiocese of Chicago, let alone of the Holy See, when it comes to dealing with politicians who support grave immorality. Having a discussion, now wait a minute, Senator Durbin's been there for decades, is giving an award in the year 2025 the initiation or significant advance in a process of discussing with him why he supports abortion. In fact, I think there's no discussion because the Cardinal's already decided that he's worthy of an award, even though he has not renounced his pro-abortion support. Secondly, to characterize abortion as an issue is a disservice because it's not an issue, it's a crime. The Catholic Church considers there's no circumstance in which a procured abortion can be obtained morally. Abortion is wrong. Direct abortion is always wrong. And it's a serious matter because it's the killing of an innocent unborn human being. So to say that the consistent ethic of life somehow justifies giving an award to a man who promotes the killing of children, that makes no sense. Now, Archbishop Cordileone brought up this example. Let's say that that the senator was against abortion, but on the matter of immigration was in favor of shooting illegal aliens as they came across the border. Is there any world in which Cardinal Cupich would give that man an award? Of course not. So what this is, whether the Cardinal realizes it or not, it's a devaluation of the life of unborn children. It's turning them into simply a question mark rather than a stop sign when it comes to honoring a politician who is pro-abortion.
Is there another layer to this story specific to the bishops themselves, Cardinal Cupich and Paprocki? Is it a canon law, or is it just like a matter of respect or something along those lines to say that Cupich should defer to Paprocki on this one because Paprocki is the ordinary, he's the bishop of Durbin. Durbin lives in his diocese. He doesn't live in Chicago under the jurisdiction of Cupich. He lives under the jurisdiction of Paprocki. So is there an extra insult in this by ignoring the good wishes of Paprocki on this issue?
Well, the Cardinal can do what he wants in his diocese. He doesn't have to get permission from a bishop of another diocese if that person has a domicile. So that's not necessarily a problem. Well, the problem is, of course, who's getting the award and how it's being justified. And, as a matter of fraternal unity, Bishop Paprocki is correct. This man doesn't deserve an award. In fact, he deserves a rebuke. And Cardinal Cupich should rebuke him for his support of abortion. So, when you let's say focus away from simply the canonical issue involved about honoring someone and the like, in what world do the people who represent Jesus Christ turn to a man who wants to finance the killing of unborn children through government monies, in what world does that representative of Jesus Christ then turn to the public and say, yes, I'm accurately conveying to you what Jesus Christ intends for the world and for the church, i.e., that we should, as bishops, give awards to people who commit crimes of grave evil by supporting the killing of unborn children.
So is this just an effort to make immigration on par or equal to abortion?
It may be. I have not heard, I've not studied Cardinal Cupich's history of dealing with Senator Durbin and questions like that. I can have, an estimation when he brings up the consistent ethic of life that he's sliding in the direction of saying, the arrest and deportation of illegal aliens in the United States outweighs the crime of abortion when it comes to praising the actions of a politician. I disagree with that totally. Law enforcement is not a wrong thing. It's a sad story, of course, when someone who's been in the country, and this is part of the previous administration's fault, they let people in here who shouldn't be here. The people establish themselves, and then the new administration comes in, actually enforces the law, and those people sadly have to leave. But as I remind people at other appearances on the media, the people who came in here illegally knew that they were always subject to this possible removal. So it doesn't come as a surprise if it happens. And by the way, the administration is telling people if you voluntarily leave the country, and you basically self-deport, you have an opportunity to re-enter legally in the future. So there is an opportunity here to establish justice.
We have just a few minutes left with you, Father Murray. I want to switch to Pope Leo's first interview with media, and that was with Crux. What was your overall impression? And specifically, I want to get your take on his use of words where, like, he sort of insinuates that maybe doctrine could change, maybe not. I'm thinking it's going to stay the same, but like just that the use of that, the phraseology that he did. What were your thoughts?
Well, the first thought is I wish popes would stop giving interviews to journalists because this is not the way to communicate the apostolic office's, message to the world, because it's not subject to careful revision and precision. When the Pope gives a homily or gives an audience address, he reads from a document that's been prepared with, of course, his input, but also with the help of experts. And it's reviewed multiple times to make sure that everything is proper in place. When you give an interview and it's filmed and taped, unless the people doing the interview allow you to edit it, you are going to be subject to whatever phraseology you use. So it's not precise enough means to communicate. And secondly, I was upset that Pope Leo gives the impression that Catholic doctrine could change in the future if attitudes changed. Right. And that was on the matter of homosexual activity in the life of the church, what that means morally. So I hope that he will be more precise in the future. Because the last thing that we need in the church is the Pope giving the impression that Catholic teaching is tentative or subject to revision. That is a Protestant outlook, by the way. If Protestantism speaks in the language of individual interpretation of the Scripture, and Protestants are not upset that the church next door denies what their church says, whereas in the Catholic Church there has to be consistency.
Yeah, amen. What about, he seemed to suggest that the door was open in conversating about the traditional Latin Mass. He's talking about using the synodal way, but conversating about it nonetheless and having meetings in the future. Of course, Cardinal Sarah has just met with him. Burke's met with him a couple of times. That seems to give some hope, no?
Well, I'm very hopeful because the Pope allows Cardinal Burke during the upcoming pilgrimage in October to Rome of traditional Latin Mass people. He's allowing Cardinal Burke to celebrate a pontifical Mass in St. Peter's Basilica at the altar of the chair, which is behind the main altar. So that's going to be a beautiful experience. No, I think Pope Leo is very reasonable when it comes to considering the fallout from Traditionis Custodes. That Pope Francis, who did not like the Latin Mass, upset the whole arrangement that John Paul II and Benedict had arrived at over the years, which is basically to say those who are in union with the Holy See should be allowed to have the traditional Latin Mass celebrated in parishes and in chapels and wherever, because it's a good thing in and of itself. The Latin Mass does not harm anybody. And sad to say, Pope Francis gave the impression that he thought the Latin Mass was a cause of disunity and harm in the life of the Church. I don't think Pope Leo is going to continue with that analysis.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.